What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Common Sense Living, the show where we dive into financial and economic trends, gold and silver, and different business topics. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about the national debt, why we need to pay attention to it, and what this means for gold and silver. Now, in case you're not aware, the national debt it hit 32 trillion last week, the highest ever, obviously. And one recent development around the national debt was once the debt agreement was reached, basically the government went on a massive spending spree for about 2 weeks, quickly adding some $400 billion in debt. Now, if you've watched this channel before, you'll know my feelings on the debt. I believe it's a big deal, one that doesn't get enough attention, and ultimately, we're just passing on our mistakes in this load to our kids and grandkids. Now, sadly, this isn't an issue in leadership with our politicians. It's not one they want to take seriously because most Americans, they're not concerned or even think about this day to day. Most Americans, they're concerned with current problems going on. They're not worried about future problems. And to me, that's why it's so critical to have real assets, gold, silver, other precious metals, real estate, autos, machinery, really all types of things, anything that has intrinsic value and that's going to retain its value. Now, as I've stated, the growing national debt, it's a big deal. And let me give you a few reasons why. So, first is the interest on the debt. And most people are aware of this. So, as the debt goes up, those payments go up in terms of servicing that interest payment percentage. Also, to make matters worse, the higher interest rates are when those payment goes up, those interest payments are going to go up too as well. So we can expect as that debt keeps going up and up, and for at least the foreseeable future, interest rates are going to be high, that this is going to continue. So recently, the Fed came out, they announced that they're probably going to be doing two more rate hikes this year alone, which means interest rates are going to be up somewhere around 5.75 to 6%. And yes, they might not stay there for too long. There is that potential that they could do a cut later next year or later this year or maybe sometime early next year. Now, for me personally, I think they're going to do some sort of a cut next year with the election coming and with really the economy in such dire straits, they're going to be forced to. And just to put things in perspective in terms of servicing the debt, that interest, we're spending about 100 billion more on debt servicing than on veterans benefits. Now, a second reason that the big national debt is such a massive problem is that it gives us less flexibility to respond to a fiscal or any type of national crisis. So things like war, excuse me, war, COVID, and that might seem counterintuitive in a way, since at first we were always able to fund things like wars. But the important angle here is that most of these crises were funded when governments were doing at least fairly well financially. With World War II, they were issuing war bonds, everyone was chipping in, the country was in a much better place. Psychologically, I think, in terms of pride and getting out and wanting to work, today it's different. Household debt, it's higher than ever. The government, they can't just raise taxes as it would just hurt the economy too much. And this is something that they wouldn't really be able to do. People wouldn't have that patriotic responsibility or that feeling that they need to go out and maybe buy war bonds, or they need to fund the war effort directly. So another reason that we need to act sooner around the debt is that the sooner we get on this, the sooner that we can turn it around. And some might say it's too late already, and I kind of agree with this in a lot of ways. mainly because I don't think the younger generation is willing to get out to work hard. Some would say that possibly things like artificial intelligence, um, other things in terms of automation could really boost the GDP, reduce debt. But that remains to be seen as for the most part, people don't seem to want to work like they used to work. Now, for me, I think some things that definitely have to happen is we need major cuts to big programs, and we definitely have to stop funding wars and a lot of this military, our military presence overseas in a lot of spots that we shouldn't be there. But all that's really another topic for another day. I appreciate everyone watching. If you have any comments, definitely leave them in terms of how to handle the debt or other issues around it you think of. And if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. And please consider subscribing to the channel if you're not subscribed. Thank you.